Today, it's a privilege to have on our 5-Minute Leadership podcast, Bishop Ferdie, also known as the running pastor, and around here known as an evangelist. So Ferdie, as an evangelist, as someone who's called by God to preach the gospel to lost people and to equip Christians to reach lost people with the gospel, what do you think about the idea of micro churches and the idea that God's finished with a mega church?
Thank you for asking that question, Pastor Steve, by saying lost people. I'm more concerned with the condition of the community in the city and where the lost people are, rather than the trends of what experts are saying about church growth. I can get drowned with all those fancy words that people might want to say. My concern as an evangelist is, how are the 20 million people in Metro Manila doing? I am more concerned with the 20 million people. And if I look at my backyard and say, I got 88,000 people attending in my weekend services, that is too small compared to the 20 million people in my city, Pastor Steve. And so what do people mean by micro church? What do people mean by mega church? What is mega is the number. The sheer number of people in
when
this
I'm
major
hearing,
city.
If there's a mega in Metro Manila, it's the mega lost.
Exactly.
It's the
That's
mega
my
are
point.
the people who are not in church in a city of 20 million people. What I heard recently was about 12% of the 20 million people in Metro Manila actually attend Bible-believing churches. And that's tiny.
Yes.
That's not mega at all. There are some large churches in this city, and there are some small churches. And as I said, many of the small churches are doing an amazing job of preaching the gospel and seeing life change and impacting the communities. And many of the large churches are. But I think what I hear is that evangelistic heart, that as long as there's such a mega group of people who are apart from the gospel, and they're not in church, they're not even de-churched, they're just completely unchurched, then we need to continue reaching more.
Exactly, Pastor Steve. And not only that, Netflix, and movies are more available in the internet. So now movie theaters are getting their venues smaller. And so therefore, when we go rent a place, it's getting smaller as well. But it doesn't mean that we're becoming micro church. And so therefore, we're setting aside the mega church phenomena. That's not the point.
And when we first started meeting in movie theaters, I remember there were quite a few in the city that had 1,000-seat movie theaters. And those are, I don't know if they exist anymore. Now they're
Very
like
few.
300, 400, 600 will be a very large theater.
Exactly.
And so the venues are getting smaller, but all that means is we're just doing more services because it's a heart to reach the lost.
Exactly. That's why the challenge of Jesus is still the same today. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Not only that it is a challenge to have more workers to reach more harvest, but it's also because of the philosophy of ministry we have in the Philippines. We believe more we have an empowering culture. It is not a man of God syndrome leading and preaching in all the 38 locations we have now in Metro Manila. But we have to raise live preachers in every 153 worship services across Metro Manila every weekend. We can't afford to have shooting a video in a certain place. We have to raise pastors and leaders who can do that. So that's basically the challenge we have in the midst of the growing numbers of people coming to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, raising more pastors and equipping them, and at the same time, raising workers, Victory Group leaders, leading small groups in Bible studies across Metro Manila. We have 8,800 small groups across the city, and we're just trying to scratch the surface.
Large public meetings, small group discipleship. It's not either or. It is possible and desirable for a church to be small and large at the same time, to have public meetings with public proclamation, preaching the gospel, ministering to the hurt, bringing healing and all of the things the gospel does, but also having small group discipleship where we go deep in the word, deep in one another's lives, and help each other walk with Jesus in a more personal, more vibrant way. It's big and small, not big or small.